Hi there, welcome to Deep Signal Technologies video on how to create a machine learning model. So we're going to go over how to create a machine learning model using the Deep Signal library. It's important that we use the NinjaTrader 64-bit version and that the Deep Signal library is already installed and activated. So what we're going to do is we're going to first make sure that everything compiles okay. So we're going to go to New, NinjaScript Editor, and then within NinjaScript Editor there's a Strategies folder. We're going to double click on that, and there's a DST folder for Deep Signal Technologies. We're going to double click on that. Now there are 4 files here. Within the DST create model test file, within the NinjaScript file, there are a couple of methods here. And these are the methods that are going to add data for a machine learning model that we're going to use to try and predict whether or not the price of an instrument is going to go up or down. So in this particular case here, we have 2 calls. We have the first one, add DST indicator. We're going to add the MACD difference, and these parameters are here. This parameter here is going to be the same as you would use in NinjaScript. In NinjaScript, if you're looking for the current bars data, you would have a sub-zero. In this particular case here, we're not looking at just one bar of data, we're looking at the whole series of data. So we do not want to include that. We're going to include just the MACD and the parameter values in the diff. Second parameter is going to be the name of this parameter, and you can call it whatever you like. And the last parameter is going to be the number, is the precision of decimal places for that particular indicator's data. In this particular case here, we're going to save 4 decimal places of data. The second indicator we're going to add is we're going to add the volume, and we're going to call it volume. And since there's no real decimal places for this particular case for volume, we're just going to have it be 0. So it's going to be whole numbers. And that's it. And you can add in whatever kind of data you would like, as long as it's a series data. And I'm going to show you on the Deep Signal Technologies website. Go back to the beginning for the help and programming for creating a new model. If we go down towards the bottom, there is for a list of NinjaTrader system indicators that can be used. There's a link here, you can find it, and these are a list of all the different NinjaTrader built-in indicators that can be used. And you can use whatever you like here as long as it can be used in a series data. So that's it. And one thing that we'll notice is that in the DST create model test, within the state configure here, we add these indicator data series, but whenever we go to actually use our machine learning model that's created, we have to make sure that we add the same data that we use to create our machine learning model. The same has to match when we use to predict with a machine learning model. So in the DST predict model test NinjaScript, there is the same area here in state configure where we need to add in our indicator data. And these, within the add DST indicator data, these need to match. So for the create model test is used for creating a machine learning model, and the predict model test is used for using that machine learning model and feeding in the current bar's data. For in this particular case, for add DST indicator, each bar we're going to feed in the MACD difference and the volume into our machine learning model and see if the machine learning model thinks we should go long or go short. And we're going to show you how to do that in just a second. So first thing we're going to do is make sure everything compiles okay. So we're going to go up to the compile, click on compile. And everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and minimize this. The next step we're going to do is go to New again, and then Strategy Analyzer. And this is where we're actually going to create our machine learning model. And the backtest type, we're going to just have it be backtest. None of the other types are supported, only backtest. And we're going to change the strategy to be DST create model test. That's for creating a machine learning model. And we can look at the current versions and where the files are located. The base folder name is going to be the name of the folder that's going to contain all of our data. So this folder is going to be created in the NinjaTrader documents folder. Log messages to file. If this is checked, we're going to log any log messages that you would normally see in the NinjaScript output. We're also going to log to a log file that's within this folder as well. So the training parameters, these are the important ones here. So the way the machine learning model is created is it is fed a series of data that meet our training parameters criteria. So what that means is that it's going to look for, on the bars to target, we're going to look for a profit target based on whatever parameters we have set here. So the bars target is going to be 5. So that means within 5, we're looking for any data set in which the price of the instrument that we're going to create a machine learning model, if the price of the instrument within 5 bars goes up 5 ticks, we are going to save all that data, because that's the profit target that we're looking for. We're looking to enter, let's say for instance the ticks up to target is 5. If within 5 bars we go up 5 ticks, that's going to be the parameters that we're going to look for. And you can change this to whatever you want. So we can say within 5 bars we want it to go up 10 ticks or down 10 ticks. And these are customizable, so you can change it to whatever you want. The stop is basically a check to see that if the price for the instrument would normally stop out before, let's say that if it starts at 10 and goes up 8 ticks, but then drops down 8 ticks and then another 8 ticks, then it would stop out. And if that particular case is stopped out, then we're not going to use that data set to be fed into the machine learning model. The PreSignal window size is the number of bars that we're going to use, bars of data that we're going to use for creating a machine learning model. And that is going to be before we would know whether or not we hit our profit targets. So if we're looking at 5 bars to reach 10 ticks to go 10 ticks up from that 5 bars, at the bar 0, before we go 5 bars, we're going to go back 10 bars of data and use all that data to be fed into the machine learning model. And the reason we do that is that we want to know before our instrument goes up or down. So all that data we want to know at before we go after 5 bars, or before it goes up 10 ticks. We want to get it before it goes up or before it goes down. And we're going to feed all this data, and you can adjust this window size to whatever you like, anywhere from 1 bar of data, which is just looking at the indicator values, or 10 bars of data, which means that we're going to go back. In our case here, we're looking at minute data, so we're going to look at 10 minutes of data before our instrument reached its profit target. So that's the data that we're going to fit into there. You can use the open or close, don't predict next day. That means that if we are getting towards the end of the trading day, we don't want our data, let's say our pre-signal data here, to wrap over to the next trading day, because sometimes the closing for an instrument will not necessarily match up with the open for the instrument. The binary classification metric. We can read about all the different types of classification metrics that we can use on our online help. It's highly suggested that we use the F1 score because that's the most balanced for creating a machine learning model. But you can read about the other different classification metrics online. The percentage of data for training, that means that however long that we set our backtest for. So if we set it for a year or 2 years, we're going to use 80% of that data for training our machine learning model. And then the other 20% we're going to use for looking at the performance of that model. The create model time, this is settable by the user. You can change it anywhere from 2 minutes to an hour or whatever you would like. It will look for the best performing machine learning algorithm based on the time that we have set. In this particular case here, for this particular video, I'm just going to set it for 2 minutes, since we don't want our video to last for hours and hours. Use directory cache. If you have a machine that doesn't have a lot of memory and you want to create large machine learning models with lots of different indicator data, and let's say a PreSignal window size of 50, then in that particular case you may want to set the use directory cache, and that will cache all the data that would normally keep in memory onto disk. It'll use it onto disk, and that way your computer won't be overwhelmed by using up all your memory. And you can try this with a computer with, if you only have a few parameters, it's probably not going to use too much memory, so you should be okay. This is an only case where you have lots of different parameters and you have a large PreSignal window size. When the model's being created, it's going to create a lot of text files that you can look at, or if you want to, you can delete the old files when the actual machine learning model is created. The files will be very large, so unless you want your hard drive to be filled up pretty quickly, I would suggest deleting the old files. Alright, and those are our parameters that we're going to use. And the instrument, we're going to, in our particular case here, we're going to look at the E-mini S&P, and the pound dash pound means we're going to look at continuous contracts. For if you're looking at any type of futures contracting, make sure that we have rolling data for your time period. If we just look at 3 months of data, is probably not going to perform well for creating a machine learning model. Alright, so in this particular case here, we're going to look at from January 1st of 2018 to January 1st of 2021. And after we have all our parameters set up, we're going to go ahead and click on Run. And what that'll do is that will actually start running a backtest and using all the data that it would get from the backtest to create the machine learning models. And this will take a couple minutes to run. So one thing it also does is that it'll cleanse the data. So if it looks back at the data, and if it notices that if ticks are, if you have missing data or ticks that are, or prices that are very large compared to the previous minute of data, in this particular case, then it's not going to use those particular data sets. The part it's going to do is normalize the data. This is for the machine learning model. where it will go through and set all the values between 0 and 1, and that's just part of creating the machine learning model process. And the last part will be train the model. And what that will do is that will go through and try different machine learning algorithms and see which is the best performing. And we can open up the NinjaScript output file. And what it's doing here is it's actually going through, and these are all the different machine learning algorithms it's going to try for our particular data set, and try to find the best performing machine learning algorithm based on a classification metric. In our case here, our classification metric was the F1 score. And so it'll go through and try and find it, and you can leave that open, or if you don't want to look at it, you can close it. And in this particular case here, for the DST create model test, this is simply a test file, and it's expected that whoever is using the deep signal library is going to want to use whatever new indicator data that they have. They have an idea for a machine learning model, or they have some indicators that maybe they use in trading, and they're going to want to add that particular indicator data to the machine learning model. So this is merely just for an example, and please do not trade with this. This is not a good test for trading. So we're going to go ahead and close. Let's take a look at this here. And there we go. So the model has been trained, and we can click on the View Results button, and that will that'll show kind of the results that the different algorithms found. In this particular case here, it used the fast tree binary for both long and short, and sometimes these will be different and sometimes they'll be the same. And for our particular case here, the F1 score is 74% for long and around 74% for short. And that's not really great. And when you go to create your own machine learning models, I'm sure that they can be improved a lot. So there we go. You've created your first machine learning model with the deep signal library. And the next video, we're going to show you how to use that machine learning model and how to trade and how to run backtests. And we'll also have other videos containing other helpful hints on how to create the best performing machine learning model for your data set. Thanks for watching.